When you know how to understand people, you avoid mistakes in communication and are less disappointed knowing psychological techniques. You understand why you conflict with some people and get along well with others. It is important to be able to represent a person's character in general by the actions of a person. When you learn to read a person, you will know what you can expect and demand from him, and what you can't. From this video you will learn 10 ways to learn how to read a person. Watch the video to the end, and you will stop being surprised by the actions of others. You will stop demanding from your subordinates and loved ones what they are in principle. They can't do it. Check if a person is able to adapt to the situation. To check the emotional stability of a person, invite him to a cafe before the meeting, change plans and offer to go to the cinema. Say that the movie you have been wanting to watch for a long time is being shown now. If your new acquaintance refuses and says that it's illogical, you've got a person who does not adapt well to different situations. Such people don't know how to make decisions quickly, and it will be hard for you to switch in such a relationship, because such behavior, it will be permanent. If you don't always want to adapt to another person, it is better to refuse to communicate with him, because he will never be able to adapt to you. Those who cannot adapt and those who do not want to are removed. Check whether a person can listen. The ability to listen is a very important skill, because attentiveness to the interlocutor is either there or not. If a person asks you how are you, but never asks the question why does this speak of a fake interest, can be understood that a person is ready to listen to you carefully. So he put aside all business and turned to face you. He maintains eye contact with you and looks into your eyes. He shows interest and attention. He nods his head. He leans slightly to your side, and you pay attention to how he listens to you. Share in the comments what other ways you use to get to know a person. When people say listen to nothing, most people don't know how to listen. Learn about the environment in a conversation with a person. Try to find out as much as possible about his environment, with whom he communicates, what kind of relationships in the family. If a person is interested in sharing he tells stories about friends and speaks positively about his family, you can continue the acquaintance. But if a person starts complaining that not everyone has abandoned him, it's worth thinking about it. It's unlikely that everyone turns away from a good, unselfish person overnight. Your surroundings are the key to your personality. Watch for emotional stability. If your friend reacts violently to all the events that happen to him, soon you will begin to feel his emotions on yourself. Such people are looking for a loved one to pour out their negative emotions on him, so they free themselves from emotions. After communicating with such people, you can sit in one position for several hours without desires and without thoughts. If you feel apathy, loss of strength after meetings, it is better to stop communicating. To recognize people who absorb someone else's energy, not just in appearance. They are unremarkable. Usually these people are quite calm and balanced. It is almost impossible to get them out of themselves. They seem invulnerable in conversation. They are quite friendly and may even seem nice, but they have their own oddities in behavior. They are too curious to know everything about you. They pester you with questions about your personal life and may violate your personal space. Check whether all people like to be praised and complimented by you, but often this is not done from the heart. If a colleague or friend after a short acquaintance begins to ask to replace him, then he uses you. It will become more noticeable when the requests are more weighty, and often your friend or colleague may constantly ask you for help, for example to write a term paper for him or prepare a report by the end of the week. He always has personal problems. You will fulfill requests because you will feel sorry for him until you notice that his works and projects receive higher marks and praise, but you remain in the shadows. The main rule in communicating with such people is to learn to refuse, find the strength, and say no. Such people will definitely find a lot of tricks to force you to do what they need, because losing your help they lose the opportunity for a comfortable and peaceful existence. Do not succumb to provocations. Be adamant, appreciate your work, and respect yourself. To end relationships with such people are not necessarily soon. You will notice that your best friend or colleague himself will stop communicating with you when he realizes that there is nothing more to take from you and you are out of his control, because the one who is no longer useful is forgotten and the heart is not kind. Check the sincerity of the person. Take a closer look at how the person behaves alone with you and in companies. An honest friend will not change his behavior and pretend to be someone else. How to recognize hypocritical people. Hypocrites do this. Respect only those people who are endowed with the power to criticize people in order to look better against their background. Constantly gossip. They help only when it is profitable. In every possible way they extol themselves, try their best to make an impression. They talk a lot but do nothing. In every possible way they try to attract attention to themselves. The first condition for rapprochement is sincerity. Learn to recognize lies. Most often we want to learn to understand people so as not to be deceived. A person tells the truth when he looks straight into the eyes. He is in a free pose. His arms and legs are relaxed, are not in a natural position. He quickly and without hesitation answers your questions. He sincerely smiles. The corners of his mouth are raised and wrinkles form around the eyes. A person lies when, during a conversation, he looks away from one side to the other. His arms and legs are crossed, and the movement of cutting. He changes the intonation of his voice. If a person is lying, then he has incoherent speech. He confuses the facts, makes long pauses. He smiles without lifting the corner of his mouth. Such a facial expression is more like a smirk. But take your time to draw conclusions on a person's behavior. May be influenced by an unfamiliar situation or state. Is it proper for a decent person to lie? Develop intuition. Your subconscious may know more than you do. You think that all the good and bad impressions received from communicating with people are postponed in it, so sometimes you can feel your inner voice that says to trust a person or not. Learn to correct examples, but at the same time, not to apply knowledge in life. You can read dozens of books and psychology, watch even more videos on YouTube, but if you do not train, your knowledge will remain useless. At first it will be difficult for you to remember the subtleties of psychology-specific psychological techniques, but if you apply the acquired knowledge more often in life, it will soon become a habit. It is not enough just to get knowledge. You need to find applications for them. Learn to analyze. A person can seem like a friend to you for a very long time and behave decently, but one day the deception will be revealed. Details that initially seemed insignificant will indicate this, and you might not even pay attention to them. Therefore, learn to pay attention to the nuances of behavior and habits of people around you, because a person cannot pretend all the time. When you start observing others and analyzing their actions, you will be able to recognize even a small lie. Now you know 10 ways to learn how to read a person. Start applying this knowledge today. Until soon, friends.